Alright, so I'm going to go over problem set 1, and here's our problem sets, right? But I'm going to be going through it using the rubric, and then I'm going to go over the major problems that most people had. And if I didn't go over the exact problem that you had, and you got, let's say, 1 over here out of 2, and you got a 6 out of 7, and you don't know why, then you can come and talk to me, okay? And then we can explain how that works. And so I'm going to be using Charisse. Sorry about that, but I'm going to be embarrassing you. So here's the first problem. What did we need to do? We needed to define some strings, doubles, ints, and a boolean, set them equal to a value, and then print each out using the string concatenation operator. So that's what I was looking for here. And you got your variables created and your values set, right, using the equals operator. And you're printing them all out, but you're not using your string concatenating operator. All right, so it says right here, print out each one on a separate line with identifying text. So that means it'd be like, 5 is an integer, would be something that you can print out, right? And how would you do that? You would do a, num plus, and then you would do is an integer, right, on your system print line. And of course, num is not a number, but I think it still would work, right? Okay. So, so that's what I was looking for. So you might have got dinged on that one right there. But for the most part, most of you guys have got this one in the bag, no problems. And then here we have problem 2, and for problem 2 we needed to create 3 variables, right, a, b, and c, so assign them values, so initialize them, and then create an if-else statement that checks, what does it check? If this discriminant is negative, right? And so how should this work? It's like, okay, well, we have our values here. We could say if, and then what Charisse did is she created all these variables, and so the discriminant was here contained in this variable. But she could have put this expression right in here, right? She could have put this minus that right here in the Boolean expression and checked if that's less than 0. And so she printed out your discriminant is negative. Sorry, you can't go now, right? You can't process the root. But she still went ahead and printed out the root. So what it should have been was if else. So it's like if error message else print out the 2 roots. Right? I think that's what the problem set said. So if we look here, so we're calculating, and then print your 2 roots. Yeah, that's right here. Right? Print your 2 roots. Or if it's negative, then print out the error message. So that's that. And then let's see, we got C. C was checking if a number is even or odd, and the way we do that is we take the number and we mod it by 2, and if it's equal to 0, then it's even. And so the best way of doing this, the shortest way of doing this, is if this is true, it's even, print out even, else print out odd, else without a if, right? Because else means you don't need to type this stuff in, and there's only 2 possibilities when you mod by 2, right? Either the remainder is 0 or the remainder is 1. So if this is true, even, else, odd. Okay, so then we're over here on D, and D, some of you had problems with this, right? So what did D ask you to do? It asked you to find a range of numbers from the first number to the second number. And let's take this one, for example, 4. So 4 is the I value, and then 4 squared is 16, and then we're supposed to create a random number between 4 and 16 inclusive, right? So including 4, including 16. So how did most of you guys do this? Most of you guys did, let me get some note paper out here. Most of you did this, right? And so num is the I variable, num squared is I times I, that's squared, that's good. She's separating them out using the T, the /T, which puts them in columns. Now the problem here is the 3rd column. Okay, so what she's doing, or what most of you guys have done, is you took math.random, and let me increase the size. So you took math.random, and then you multiplied by, well, not all of you, but a lot of you got this wrong, is times 4. So we're doing the 4 times 4, and then we're taking that and we're minusing 4. That's what she's doing. And then after we finish that, then we're plusing 4. Okay, so the math.random gives you a random number from 0 to 0.9999, right? So then if we multiply by this number here, what we get is 16. So it does the multiplication first. So we do 16 minus 4. So that gives you 12. So we're taking math.random, multiplying by 12 first, and then we're adding 4. So if you take this number and multiply by 12, then you get a range of numbers from 0 to 11.9999. Right? And then we're adding 4 to that, so then you get 4 to 11.99999. So this is not a random number from, what is it, from 4 to 16, right? So we want 4 to 16, right here, 4 to 16. So that is off. The way that you get a random range is you have a low number. So let's say the low is 4 and the high is equal to 16. The way you do it is you do math.random, and then you multiply by low minus high plus 1. Okay? And then you take that and you add the low. Not only that, but you also int this first part. Okay, so let's go ahead and break this down. How does it work? Well, here's low is, I'm sorry, you do high minus low. High minus low. And this was gone over in the video on the class webpage that I linked in the daily schedule. If you go to the daily schedule, you'll find it. It's in the how-tos page. It's random. It's this video right here. So what are we doing here? We're doing high is 16 minus the low, which is 4, and we're adding 1. So we get 12, 13. Right? So we do 13 times math.random, so that gives us 12.9999, right? A range from 0 to 12.9999, 0 to 12.999, and then we're inting it, right? So inting truncates the decimal place; it cuts off the decimal place. So what we get is we get we get 0 to 12 is what we get because we truncate the decimal place, cut it off, and then we're adding the low, so we get a range from 4 to 16. Okay, so to review, that is, well, you can go back in the video to take a look at the formula, or you can come here and take a look at this math.random page. So that would be the formula that you would want to use, and this one is not correct, right? Okay, so that's that. And then the D, oh no, this is more of the same. And then the E is we had to create an array of strings. Okay, we did that here. We created another array of strings. We iterate through the first array using a for loop, and then we iterate through the second array using a while loop. And the for loop you want to do less than the array's length, right? So that's key, array's length. And then you print the array subindex. So it looks good. The while loop is the same thing, except we're creating the iterating variable and initializing to 0, and then we need to increment n in the body of the while loop. You'll see here that she's incrementing n in both the if and the else, right? Since it's happening in both the if and the else, that means it's definitely happening. So we should have taken it out from here and put it after the if-else block. Right? That's shorter, so that's better. So anyways, that's that. Most of you guys got that right. No issues. For number F, what was F? So, okay, same deal, because here we're getting a range of numbers from 1 to 100, right? But a lot of you guys didn't do 1 to 100. So let's go ahead and take a look right here. So you see here now she's doing the inting, which is good. Math.floor is unnecessary. So either you could do the int or you could do the math.floor. Math.floor also truncates the decimal place. So either of these is fine, but both of them is redundant. Right? So then we're doing math.random times 100 minus 0. So that's minus times 100. So what does that give us? That gives us a range of numbers from 0 to 99.9999, and we're inting that, so it gives us a range from 0 to 99. Right? That's not a range from 1 to 100. Okay. So what would we want to have here instead? We would want to have math.random times the high, which is 100, minus the low, which is 1. Yeah, plus 1. Wait, am I wrong here? High minus the low. No, the low is 0. Wait, hold on a second. So the high is going to be 100. The low is equal to 1. Okay, so we do -1, and then we +1. That doesn't seem right. Oh, and then we're adding 1 at the end. Oh, that's right. Okay, so that looks good. So we do, this is the formula. And so we're doing math.random times 100. So this gives us a random number from 0 to 100. And then we're inting, 100.999. I'm sorry. Yeah, 100.999. And then we're truncating it. So then we get a random range from 0 to 100. And then we're adding the 1. So that gives us a random range from 1 to 100. Oh, I'm sorry. No. My mistake. So this is multiplication here. So this would be 100. This will turn to 100. Multiplying by math.random would turn it into 99.999. And then inting it would turn us into a range from 0 to 99.999. And then we add 1 to it. So that gives us a range from 1 to 100. Oh, I'm sorry. The int truncates the decimal place. Sorry, I'm all over the place, guys. But anyhow, this is the way you would want to do it, right? So it's this formula right here. Oh my gosh, where am I going? I thought it was here. It is high minus low plus 1 parentheses parentheses plus low. Right? If you want to get a range of numbers, of course you want to int the front. So this is the way you want to do it. Anyhow, that's what we're doing here, filling it with random numbers, and then what would we want to do next? Print out the contents of the array. So we're iterating through the array, printing out all the values in the array. I'm not sure what's going on here, but if index is less than length minus 1, then we're printing a space. Okay, yeah, so she's printing a space out for everyone except for the last one. I think that's a little bit unnecessary, but it's fine. Okay, and then next we're summing up the values in the array, and we do that by creating a variable, setting it equal to 0, and then we add on, we do sum is equal to array sub index plus sum, and we iterate through the entire array, and that adds up all of the numbers into the variable sum. And then finally, what are we doing here? If it is a positive number, I think. Oh no, we're printing the array backwards. So what she's doing is she set index equal to the length minus 1. So if the length was 10, then she sets it to 9, which is the far right side of the array. And then she's saying if they're greater than or equal to 0, and then we're going to minus minus. So the first time through the array, index is going to be equal to 9, then 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Once it turns to -1, -1 is not greater than or equal to 0, so the Boolean expression is false, and it breaks out of the for loop, and we finish our program. So this is a correct implementation here. Right. Okay, so that's that. Then we're going to negative and positives, which is G. Okay, so here, what did we do? What are we doing here? Okay, so what she did is had a range of numbers, right? But her range of numbers is off, okay? And why is it off? Because she's doing math.random times 200. And math.random times 200 gives you a random range from 0 to 199.9999. We int that, and we get a random range from 0 to 199, I'm sorry. So what we would want to do is math.random times 202, okay? And then we subtract. So then that gives us a random range from 0 to 200. And then what she did is she then subtracted 100 from it, right? So if you subtract 100 from that range, you get -100 to +100. Okay, so that's one way you could have done it. Another way you could have also done it is you could have said if math.random is less than 0.5, which happens half of the time, then we say num is equal to math.random times 101. And then we do else. You could say num is equal to negative math.random times 101. Okay, so either it's positive or it's negative, 0 to 100. Okay, so that's that. And then what is next? We need to fill it up. And then you need to add 10 to all the elements in the array. How did we do that? Did we do that here somewhere? Plus 10, yep. So right here in this for loop, she is taking the array element and she's adding 10 to each element. and then she's printing out. And so she's also doing that little plus, that only adding a space if it's not the last element in the array. That's unnecessary, but she did that, and that's fine that she did it, right? Okay. What are we doing? Well, I say it's unnecessary because you could have just added a space to all of them, and if the last one got a space, it wouldn't really matter in the output. It would be identical output to what she has here. You could also use this technique for adding the comma, and if you added a comma, that would make sense, because then you wouldn't get a comma on the last number that's printed out. You would get a comma on every number up until the last number, right? So this would be better implemented if asked to add a comma in between numbers. But anyhow, she's doing it correct, right? So she got the for loop, and then she's adding 10 to the integers array. Okay, and then we count the number of positive numbers. How do you do that? You iterate through the array, and you say, okay, well, if the array element is greater than 0, then we increment the counter, which we initialize to be 0, and then we're printing out the counter value at the end of the for loop, right? After the for loop has finished executing. Okay, and then we got this string error. Okay, so this string error a lot of you guys got wrong because the problem set was incorrect, right? The problem set, how'd you enter in your strings like this with 2 double quotes? And if you did 2 double quotes, then it would not give you an error because you're not creating new string objects. Okay, so I updated the problem set, and then I created a video explaining the problem, and then I expected you to fix it here in your problem set, but many of you didn't, right? So it should have been like artist sub 0 is equal to new string, and then some string, right? Michael Jackson or whatever it is. So if you did this, why would it create an error? Because for each element in the array, you're creating a new object, a new string object, which means it's a new set of variables, which mean they each have their own location in memory, their own unique location in memory, right? So if that's the case, then if you did an equals right here, then it would not find Michael Jackson. Okay, if you put new string right here, Michael Jackson, and you put equals right here, like not dot equals, but equals, then it would not say we found Michael Jackson. It would say else Michael not found. And so if you want further explanation on that, go to the how-tos page and look for the equals video. It's also linked on the daily schedule, and I will link it tomorrow as well on the daily schedule, because I don't want to explain it here. It takes some time to do. So anyways, that's that. And then number 11 was pretty straightforward. What we did was create a scanner object, ask for the username, ask for the password, and then we are checking, did they enter in a predetermined username and a predetermined password. And then what I'm looking for is you're saying string, so input dot equals the string we're looking for, or the other way around, and pass. And in this case, her pass was an integer, so she just did equal. That's fine. For me, it makes more sense if the pass is a string, right? Because you could have characters and whatnot in the password, and then in that case, it'd be pass dot equals password. Right? So that is that, and generally I covered most of the errors that popped up, so that should explain your grades. And if you're kind of freaking out, like, oh my gosh, my grade has gone down so much, this is like a drop in the bucket. Okay, we're gonna have tons of assignments, tons of homeworks, tons of opportunities for you guys to earn your points, so don't worry about it. And that's about it. Thanks so much.